Hi everyone, my name is Tim, I'm 17, and I know a lot of you are probably looking at me and wondering, is that makeup? No, this is what I like to call natural beauty. I pretty much woke up like this, just put on some chapstick and a little bit of mascara and walked out the door. Well, actually I more so woke up like this. We're both redheads? Yeah. What I'm doing right now is called drag, which is where a guy jumps into a dress and puts on about 8.5 pounds of makeup, or 9 on a bad day, and jumps onto a stage. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Bruce Jenner, or Caitlyn Jenner now, and how she's transitioned into a woman, and while I think that that's awesome, especially with the coverage it's been getting, that's not what I'm doing. I am a man in my daily life, as convincing as this is. But I live my daily life like this. I'm very confident in my gender identity, but I do carry over a few more feminine things or traditionally woman things into my daily life. While I don't do all of this, I do paint my nails on a fairly regular basis. If you know me, you know that it's more likely to see me with something crazy on my nails than without. I have a few pictures of them. I kind of go to all of the corners. I have penguins on there, which are my favorite. And while they're not nearly as crazy and out there as all of this is, I get a lot of blowback for doing my nails and also for just getting into drag. When I told people I wanted to do this talk, people said, oh, you shouldn't do that. You're a boy. You shouldn't want to do this. You are just doing things that you shouldn't want to do. And I get the same thing when I paint my nails. You're a boy. You shouldn't want to do that. Don't you think that's just kind of weird? Well, yeah. And a lot of people tell me things that kind of confuse me. Now, I am gay, if you couldn't tell, but people were telling me that I was being too gay when I started painting my nails, which, okay, first of all, I can do more. And second, who are you to say that I'm being too anything? I'm just being myself, and the fact that people were saying that I was trying to fake it was kind of confusing. I mean, I consider this war paint, and it takes a lot to come out here in all of this, because I know that this is going online, and people are going to judge me for it, like people judge Caitlyn Jenner. Drake Bell just tweeted a few days ago that he was still going to call her Bruce, which just seems like a little kind of joke, but it's so offensive to say that someone's battle to become who they are is worthless. Now, before I started doing all of this, I painted my nails, which was a part of me. And then I decided to do a TED Talk so that I could show other people that they could do things that were kind of out of the box. And when I was at Target actually buying makeup for this TED Talk, it turns out CoverGirl does CoverBoy. I saw that there was a boy in the clearance aisle with his mother, and they were looking at Nerf footballs. The mom had one in her hand which was blue and black with a bunch of swirls, and then the other one was black with a bunch of flames on it. Very masculine, much more so than me. But the son saw that there were more in the next aisle, so he pulled her over and said, oh, they have different colors. The mom walked over and said, oh, those are pink, you don't want those, and pulled him right back to the black and blue ones. And while that isn't really a crime against humanity on its own, it kind of reminded me of all the times that people told me that I didn't want to do this just because I was a guy. That people said that I shouldn't want to do things. In fact, while I know that not every guy is going to want to jump into heels because these things hurt, I think that everyone has to deal with this on some level. When I was painting my nails, I had gotten past the bullying, and I still was really self-conscious about a lot. I didn't like my body. I didn't wear shorts ever. I wore jeans all through summer because I just hated how I looked. But one day, I decided that I was going to buy a tank top because I thought it looked really cool. It was kind of a marbled blue and green. It complemented my hair. And I just thought it looked really awesome. It was custom fitted, and when I got it in the mail, I loved it. It was everything I hoped it would be, and I was really happy with how it looked on me. I was so confident, and I wore it to school the next day, and I sat down with my matching nails, and my friend looked at me and said, why are you wearing a tank top? I was kind of confused and said, because I like it. He looked at me and shook his head and said, you shouldn't wear them. They don't look good on you. That kind of hurt. Not only was I over my nails, people not liking them, but now people weren't liking the way that I dressed. It wasn't even a gender thing at this point. It was just because people didn't like the way that I looked in clothes. And that's when I realized that everyone has to deal with this. Maybe you're a guy and you want an easy bake oven when you're 7, but you can't have an easy bake oven because easy bake ovens are for girls. You need to get the Queasy bake oven, which is exactly like an easy bake oven, but green and brown instead of pink, and it makes food that looks disgusting because you can't cook unless it looks gross if you're a boy. It's shocking how we tell our kids that they can express themselves, but only in the certain ways that we lay out for them, whether or not it has anything to do with gender, whether or not it's that kid wanting a pink football, or just a kid wanting to do something that is maybe out of what people expect for him. People will tell him, you shouldn't want to do this because of how we think you are. And that's exactly what I heard when I was telling people that I wanted to do a TED Talk in drag. It'll be inappropriate for children. It'll be bad for them. Which do you think is worse for our kids to hear? That guys can wear girl clothes and still be okay in society? Or that they can't express themselves in the ways that they feel like they want to? So that they ridicule themselves inside for years. The first day I wore my nail polish, I ran home almost crying and took it off. Nobody had said anything bad to me, and people had complimented me on it, but I was just so ashamed of having done that. Now, obviously, I kind of got past that, but it still sucks that people have to go through that sort of stuff. Now, I'm sure a few of you have probably heard of a drag queen, RuPaul. I can do better. But no, she is incredible. She started the whole thing. One of her music videos is her walking around in New York City in drag, which was incredible for the 80s, or whenever that happened. I was 97, I don't know. And she has a lot of quotes that I love. The biggest obstacle I ever faced was my own limited perception of myself. What other people think of you is none of your business. If you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? Now, this is all from a drag queen on a show about drag queens, but none of them have anything to do with drag. They all talk about loving yourself and being who you are because that's who you are. Everyone in this room and everyone watching online is so incredibly unique. You are the only version of yourself that's ever going to happen. Nobody can even come close to you because you're you. And so holding something back because you think people won't like it, or because people tell you they don't like it, or that you shouldn't like it, that's tragic. And that's why I'm up here today. Because there's so much lost potential in our kids because we tell them to express themselves in ways that are okay for them. This isn't dangerous, but shooting kids down is. Telling them that they aren't who they are is the most dangerous thing that you can do. I have another quote that I found from Tumblr. I love Tumblr. It's kind of what I based my talk around because I saw it one day and it was just incredible. The sun isn't bright because I say it is. It just is. It was bright before I even knew the word for bright. I didn't decide what it was. I acknowledged what it was. You are not worth something just because I say you are. You just are. You were worth something before I said anything. I didn't decide that you were worth something. I acknowledged that you were. That is what I mean when I say that you're worth it. You are worth every bit of you that you were born with. Please don't be ashamed of anything. I'm up here in a dress, and I know that people aren't going to take me seriously, but the message that I have is to just love yourself no matter what other people tell you, because you're not doing it for them. You should be doing it for yourself. Thank you.